Update. Girlfiend cheated, don't know if it's consensual. GF cheated, don't know if it's consensual. Basically she went out on a girls' night and I told her to have fun and she actually did. She went home with another guy, her type of fun I guess. I called her friend that was with her because she wasn't answering my calls and it was well late and her mom was calling me worried and her friend told me she last saw my girlfriend drinking with a guy and that guy taking her home. My girlfriend ditched them and she said my girlfriend supposedly told them she was going home. I was panicking that night like proper panic attacks. So I confronted her and shit hit the fan, but over one phone call she said she was drunk and was not thinking straight at all. Well, I've been drunk, not crazy drunk. And had girls hit on me plenty and I have never once agreed. The problem is if she was that heavily drunk, does that mean it was consensual? Was she raped? Because if she was, I can still work on the relationship. I was fuming and blocked her after a few messages because I believed at the time she was cheating and it was consensual. She's been blowing up my friends and my phone non-stop since then. Ever since I've been coping my friends. Drinking, going out, having fun, etc. I myself have started to have lots of laughs, sharing and looking at memes, and movies. A lot of porn and a lot of biscuits and fried chicken. Also oddly telling people to leave their cheating spouses on Reddit has helped me a ton, believe it or not. Today one of my friends, that's a girl that is one of her old friends, told me that if my ex was indeed saw and I should be there for her, what I did was wrong, which is why this post is being made, because I'm revisiting her memories again when I've finally started moving on and it's starting to impact my mental health yet again. Here is a few of our text messages prior to me blocking her. Any advice on how to proceed? She did say she was only drinking with him at the start because he offered free drinks to her and her friends but got drunk after, and he was the one that approached her friend group. I also still am in love with her, 2-year relationship. And I do miss her, but there were a few days where I forgot she existed and those were my happiest days as of late. But that was because in my mind she cheated unless otherwise. I've been getting so confused as well because people are saying once a cheat always a cheat, others are saying you can't give consent under influence. She did nothing wrong and I'm so confused on how to proceed. She will not be taking any legal action because the guy did not exchange contact information after they parted ways, which was a while ago, and she knows that fighting a legal battle or any battle against a sexual assailant is almost always futile and she won't ever get the closure she needs by doing so, which is the only thing I agreed with her on after the incident. Although she has not explicitly said to me she has been raped, she did imply she was so drunk she didn't even know who she was having sex with, so it was not consensual in a way. She talked really fast and I was so heated up I didn't really listen. Need full-grown adults that have experience with long-term relationships and have dealt with infidelity to convince me and give me advice. Edit 1. She has not explicitly told me she has been raped, but she has told me she was taken advantage of and she was in no state of mind to make any right decisions. So what does this mean exactly? Edit 2. Her friends were too drunk to think too deep into it at the moment as they were told he was her ride. Apparently it all played out very quickly, like 3 minutes, kissed them goodbye and left, and they were like, "What?" And of them actually said that she said, "Should we worry if she gets kidnapped?" And they all just laughed it off thinking they knew each other and continued enjoying themselves. I was in a group call with them as they explained themselves to me and her mom. They have since apologized to me and I've forgiven them. Also, I don't care if you downvote my comments, but don't bother commenting if it's not going to be useful. That's not what I need. RN. Also, can someone tell me if this is manipulation or desperation? She wasn't communicating like this at the start. The screenshot was taken after I blocked her everywhere and NC her and her friends. I am also reading all of her comments, though I might not be replying them, and some are just not even related. Please only comment useful statements. Update. I decided to take a break from her. We met for a heart-to-heart talk, won't go into details, but a lot of anger, frustration, crying. You know the works. She has been texting me a lot the last few days, but I have yet to reply. Thanks for all the comments. I feel like I owe it to you guys to give an update. I asked her for a proper detailed explanation and she said that she flirted with the guy a lot because she was tipsy and wanted free drinks, but she did not plan to have sex with him. They were actively flirting and he was putting his hands on her thighs and stuff and she allowed it. Won't go into details to spare myself rethinking what she told me, so that's a summary. I told her 2 things that I learnt from the comments before breaking it off with her. 1. Cheating does not just happen like that, there is a build-up. The flirts, the drinks, the touching, the talking, etc. 2. I do not want to be with someone who just blames alcohol when they make mistakes. If you know you get out of control when you get heavily drunk, you don't get drunk. I spoke to her parents after and they never said much about her actions, but they told me that for what it's worth they really liked me. The dad still wants to stay in contact with me because I'm his golf buddy, we text daily, we send memes to each other etc., and I decided to still remain friends with him. He has given me a lot of wisdom and knowledge and he's really chill and fun to hang around, and if it's weird to say yeah, a 52-year-old is one of my best friends. I love the guy and we are buddies and I don't want to ruin that, so I'm gonna remain the same with him provided he don't tell his daughter, and he agreed. That's about it right now, I'm just trying to stay alone. A lot of Netflix, food, memes and a lot of porn to cope, but that's about it. If anything happens I'll update you guys again, I think. Edit. Thank you all, but I'm not really seeking advice about relationships, I already broke up with her. If you want to give advice, maybe give some advice on moving on. I think the whole thing that I am drunk, that's why I cheated on you, is absolute freaking bullshit and a bullshit excuse. Saw the screenshots. In the last one she said, "Baby, see, you couldn't even breath. That shows how much you need me." This is straight up manipulation. You couldn't breath properly because of her. Why'd you need her to breath? Leave her, man. You deserve better. She might have been crazy drunk during the sex. I highly doubt she was crazy drunk when she was flirting when first met. Then dancing. Then car ride etc. I recommend a ultimatum for my long ago ex. Either call the cops and report a rape and name who. Or 2, we break up. We broke up. If she was raped she wouldn't be trying to convince you it was a mistake, and she has no feeling for him and it will never happen again. I understand she was drinking, but she's responsible for what happened and it was consensual. You deserve better. Legally, you can be drunk and give consent. I hope it wasn't assault, since that'd be another issue in itself, but it's ultimately not your problem. Flirting for drinks and letting some dude grope you would be considered cheating for most, and it's more than enough of a reason to leave. I'd be cautious continuing your friendship with her dad. She's his kid, and it wouldn't take much for him to start asking you to take her back. Plus it'd make no contact that much harder to implement. I'm sorry to read this op. She skanked out. I'd give her a couple of decisions. 1. Call police and report a rape if that happened and support her. 2. You call her bullshit and leave. She's not telling you the truth. I've been plastered out of my damn mind and still would never ever cheat on my boyfriend. She's a liar, and her constantly calling you baby is a little creepy. Also shitty she blames it on Katie. Edit. Shitty not shitting, but she prob was shitting her pants. My 29 M girlfriend, 26 F, got pregnant, partly through negligence, and I'm having trouble trusting her. When my girlfriend and I first started having sex, I was hesitant to have intercourse because of the even slim possibility of her getting knocked up. I'm okay with raising a child, but I don't want to be part of a child out of wedlock if it can be prevented. She and I talked about it thoroughly and came to the following agreement. 1. We would use condoms, spermicide, and birth control pills to minimize the chance of unplanned pregnancy to 0.0036% per year of us being together. Assuming we're using the contraception correctly. I'm sexually inexperienced, but I did enough research to be confident we were following the best practices. I was paying for all 3 of these. I was happy to. If she was dealing with having to take birth control pills, I wanted to do my part. 2. In the event that we get extremely unlucky with the roll of the dice, we agreed that her getting an abortion would be the best path. 3. In the event that an abortion wasn't an option, we'd put the child up for adoption. There is a surplus of loving homes looking for a child in America. I always had in the back of my mind that if we somehow, for some reason, got past the 3rd item there, I'd be wanting to marry her. Again, I'm fine with raising a kid and being involved with one, just don't want to do so outside of wedlock. Well, turns out she ended up getting pregnant. Hey, okay, that was possible and we had a plan for this, but 2 things ended up happening. 1. She told me she stopped taking the birth control medication a few months after starting it. This was 2 years ago. She complained about the side effects of it. She never once raised these concerns to me. I was continuing to give her money for the birth control medications and she was lying anytime I asked about them in the relationship. We still had an unlucky roll of the dice, but the dice were not rolling as I had expected. Had she told me this, I would not have consented to sex. She admitted to knowing this, thinking I was paranoid and this being the motivation to lie to me. Unless if she got an IUD or we explored something else. Otherwise I'd want to refrain from intercourse. 2. She wants to keep the baby. She changed her mind on both abortion and adoption. For abortion, okay fine, I always figured there was a possibility she'd change her mind about terminating the life of a fetus. But not considering adoption, especially in combination with being negligent about birth control medications, I'm quite angry that she's not considering putting the child up for adoption. I didn't push hard for it in the first convo with her, because my emotions are still raw and I don't want to say or do anything rash that will hurt her, but I pushed softly and she was firm in wanting to keep the baby. I didn't express any of it to her, but I am very, very angry. I expressed all of these concerns, but I didn't yell at her is what I mean. She lied about being on birth control, and when that had consequences she went back on previous agreements and isn't even considering responsible options to give the baby and her partner a happy outcome. The child would be better off in a loving home that wanted a child, not with parents who are separated and got knocked up accidentally. To my mind it is wildly irresponsible and unfair to the child, and it's unfair to me as it puts me in a very difficult situation. My instinct is, I knocked a girl up, stay with her and help her and be a good boyfriend. But that's at contrast with, my partner lied to me about something extremely important, came clean about it. But that doesn't undo the initial lie, and is failing to take reasonable steps to resolve the situation, thus not caring for me or the situation I'm in. Get out of this relationship. It doesn't help that child support payment calculations would screw me over. My income is temporary very high but will likely drop sharply in a year or two. I'm really hurt and confused and not sure how much my anger is justified. It feels justified now, but it's hard to evaluate things properly when you're angry, and how I can go about navigating this situation without being a dirtbag to her and the kid. Honestly, as a woman, I think your anger is justified. You were doing all the right things, you thought of everything to prevent this from happening. I wish guys I know were that conscientious of the risk and do as much as you did. The fact she failed to at least tell you about the issues she was having with birth control, and stopped taking it when you two agreed to do anything to prevent the risk, that's crazy. The fact she wants to keep it despite the two original options seems as though she planned this, she wanted this to happen to keep you around. I'm sorry that happened. Honestly, she needs to earn that trust back. I wouldn't just give it to her. But don't give up on the child despite the struggles of the relationship with her. Well, I mean, you're having trouble trusting her because you would be extremely stupid to trust her, given what she has done. I strongly encourage you to get legal advice and get your life set up in such a way that you will have minimal contact with her, but will still be able to see, raise, and stay involved with your child. You need to have people on your side here, supporting you. This chick is not that person. You would be an utter fool to marry her, so don't be talked into that. I would get a DNA test as soon as possible. Spermicide plus condoms? Sounds fishy. If she's willing to lie about birth control and basically steal your money, she'd probably lie about cheating or poking holes in the condom or some sort of foul play. Your anger is completely justified. If the roles were reversed, this wouldn't even be a question for some. It's the same thing as if you would have taken off the condom without telling her or poked holes in it. And that's not okay. I respectfully don't know if your situation counts as sexual assault, but it should. If it doesn't, it's borderline. Please understand you have every right to be upset with your partner for doing this to you. She's baby-trapped you. You should ask for a paternity test though, just in case the birth control isn't the only thing she's been lying about. Then if it does turn out to be yours, you have two choices. 1. Stay and trap yourself for the next 18 years in a situation you don't want with a person you will end up resenting more and more. 2. Separate, draw up proper maintenance and access to the kid, if you want to be part of its life, and move on with the hope of meeting someone who won't lie and manipulate you. Because that's what she has done. She took your money while lying about the drugs. She had every opportunity to tell you but lied to trap you. She is either slow or doing this on purpose. The condoms and spermicide should have also been enough. Did she do something to them? So, you were using condoms and spermicide and she still got pregnant? Question. Who had access to the condoms? You or her? This sounds like a very clear case of baby trapping, but usually condoms and spermicide are still very effective. Something is off here. Unfortunately, you have very little legal recourse. I know you said you don't want to separate, but I'm not sure how you could stay with someone who tricked you into parenthood. Something seems fishy here. Condom and spermicide every single time and still got pregnant? My boyfriend left a cup on the coffee table. Me, 22F, and my boyfriend, 24M, have lived together for about a year and a half. I feel as though I have to be the mom in our relationship. When we first started dating, he didn't have any sense of cleanliness in his space. Even after living together for a while, he still has yet to do his share in maintaining our home. Thought he has gotten better at picking up his clothes off of the floor and helping me take care of our cats. I'm still doing the majority of the household chores. Washing, folding all the laundry, meal planning, cooking. He's only ever cooked dinner for me one time. Washing the dishes, unloading the dishwasher, vacuuming daily, tidying, and deep cleaning. Not only that, I manage our shared finances, budget for rent, utilities, groceries, make all of his doctor appointments, and drive him to them per his requests, yet he has never driven me to any of mine. All while still trying to make sure he eats 3 eggs a day and help him keep track of his stuff. He has health issues where he doesn't get hungry and ADHD and is very forgetful. Once in a blue moon, he'll have a burst of decency and do a few chores without me asking, which he will use these rare occurrences, light improvements against me. Earlier this week, I asked him to unload the dishwasher while I was running an errand, before I get back at a certain time, and if he's feeling extra nice, he can wash the dishes in the sink. When I got back, half an hour after I originally said I would, he was sitting on the couch playing video games and goes, "Oh shit," and immediately jumps up and does the dishes. This really pissed me off because it's not the first time he did this. I'll ask him to do a chore, he says he'll do it later and doesn't do it or half does it, i.e. only plates, silverware in the dishwasher, but leaves the pans for me to hand wash. I blew up on him. I told him that he's a bad roommate, I don't like living with him, and low-key threatened to leave. He treats every act of his as a first-time occurrence, when to me, this camel's back has been building for well over a year. He acted like what I said didn't bother him because it was just dishes. We didn't really talk for a couple of days. Today, when he came home from work, I made us dinner and we watched TV for a couple hours. I then asked him, before bed, if he could pick up his 2 drink glasses and soda bottle from the coffee table, put his dishes from dinner in the dishwasher, not even wash the other things I used earlier that were in the sink, and scoop the litter box. He puts up his dishes and cleans the litter box. Then he picks up only 1 cup, but leaves the other and the soda bottle on the table and then turns off all the lights to go to bed, while I'm still sitting on the couch. At this point I'm fuming. I pick up the things myself and lay back on the couch, planning on going to sleep there. He asks what I'm doing, I tell him, and he asks why. I said, "You left a cup and a bottle on the table." "For what? Why couldn't you pick that up too? You know you're not gonna do it in the morning and you leave it for me to do like always." He gets mad that I'm mad and says that because he did everything else it shouldn't have been a big deal. But it is a big deal. This is the man that I've talked about marrying in the next year. Had made an appointment to look at rings next week. This is the man that I just bought a house with. This is the man that I've talked about raising kids with. I believe that relationships are a partnership, and I'm not really feeling that anymore. I'm asking, rather begging, for the bare minimum. Before anyone asks, we have tried splitting up chores evenly. I've tried having him focus on a few simple ones, pick up his clothes, take out the trash, so he could get into a routine. That mostly fell apart. Nothing's consistent, which is my biggest issue. Where do I go from here? Is it possible to work through this? Either accept that this is who you're marrying or find someone else. You can't just stay in the relationship and keep being mad at him. Oh no. You bought a house with that? You're considering having kids with that? Unfortunately, it appears that your relationship is more of a mother and son than a boyfriend and girlfriend. Really, all that I believe you can do from here is sit down with him and discuss this. Be honest with him. Explain to him that you can't deal with the current situation. Lay out what you're looking for in a relationship. If he doesn't hold his end of the bargain, move on. You say you love this man, but these actions are not sustainable. Raising children with an individual like that can only be a nightmare. I'd recommend that you take a good look at yourself and really consider what you want before moving forward. He is not going to stop. If you stay with him and have kids, you will be doing this plus taking care of your kids 99% of the time too. You have a manchild, not an equal partner. Also, if you just stop doing your chores, he won't do it. He does not give a shit if he lives in a clean house or not. This is teaser of what the test if your life with him will look like. The fact that he never learned to do any of it and has no sense of cleanliness is a red flag for me. If you stay with him, you will make a post here soon titled, "Husband is not paying attention to me and the baby, what do I do?" He doesn't have health issues. He has, "I need a mommy to do everything for me while I sit around and play" issues. You want it to end? Leave. I'm a bit more malicious and would just leave him in the house alone one day to pay his bills alone, but you do you. You're right, you are his mom. You're gonna be raising more than one kid if you guys have a baby. He isn't gonna do shit. Stop doing things for him. Cook dinner for yourself. If there's leftovers, label them as yours for lunch the next day. Split yours and his washing up and only do yours now. Oh, what's that? You have no clean clothes for work? Should have done your laundry then. Literally, you complain that he acts like a child but you have no problem caring for him as if he was one. I had this with my ex-husband. Notice the ex part. It got too exhausting and I became bitter about doing everything. Don't marry him or have kids with him. My wife is staying in a nearby hotel and won't answer calls or texts. My wife and I have been married for 8 years this October and had been dating for almost 3 before that. We have had some really amazing memories together. We've been able to travel some, have 2 beautiful children, and have generally been pretty problem-free throughout our marriage, other than the occasional fight over something silly. One thing I do have to explain is that in the months before we were to be married, I found that she had been sending emails and talking to an old boyfriend of hers. When I found out, she deleted all of the evidence and swore on her life that it was nothing bad, that she was just tying up loose ends and nothing more. Of course, not knowing the context was more difficult for me than anything, but I decided to forgive her, perhaps foolishly, and proceed with the marriage, and we've been together with no infidelity ever since. I can't say I have regrets because I have 2 perfect children and a relatively happy life. However, during COVID and being cooped up together so much, we started getting short with each other and I could tell she wasn't very happy. After our kids were born, 7 years ago, she was frequently sleeping in the same room with them because she nursed and said it was easier. She did have postpartum depression, and we never really made a good transition out of her being in another room. I more often than not was asleep in our bed by myself, although we were frequently intimate. I always had to wonder how she was spending her time on her phone, so I asked her if there were any conversations that I should know about. She swore up and down there was nothing, but I found where some copies of Twitter DMs had been sent to her old email address as notifications. It seemed to be nothing racy, but it was a guy referring to an old conversation with her and asking if they could keep in touch through Twitter after she deactivated her Facebook. I was pretty livid because she had gone out of her way to delete all of the evidence, once again, leaving me assuming the worst. I asked to see her phone, for the first time in years, and she appeared to be ready to physically fight me to stop me from seeing. This is where I messed up. I was so upset and angry I grabbed the phone and threw it on the ground and told her to leave. I was furious and knew that if we didn't separate ourselves it would be worse. She did leave, and has been staying in a hotel for over a week now. She won't return my calls or barely responds to texts, and I have the kids here with me raising them alone. She says that I was invading her privacy and that I am controlling, but this was honestly the first time that I'd asked to see anything of that sort in years. Now she acts like saving our marriage is a lost cause, and I've apologized over and over for breaking her phone and losing my temper. I know it all looks bad, but I truly don't think she has been fully cheating, as we've been very careful during COVID and we live very far from the person she was talking to. On the other hand, it seems like there's been no interest in fixing any of this, and she won't tell me if she is moving out or what she wants to actually do. She doesn't seem interested in getting help and I truly don't know what to do. She says she wants space, but we have had a lot of space between us over the years. In Reddit's professional opinion, does this sound like a lost cause? She's fucking someone else. I'm sorry. Call a divorce lawyer. File for a divorce if you're in a for-cause state. Assuming you're in USA, the cause is abandonment. You guys can try to work it out while the litigation is pending. Don't waste time in protecting your assets. Dude, she is cheating. Stop lying to yourself. Trust me, I know how easy it is to lose conviction when she's swearing up and down to you with tears in her eyes. But you gotta man up and leave her. Go completely gray rock and contact an attorney. The fact that she left you with the kids should give you a leg up in a divorce depending on your local laws. Remember, you don't have to file the papers in case you reconcile, but you need to start the process like yesterday. Stop all contact with her. I don't condone your behavior, so understand that. You need to get your anger in control. However, something is wrong here, and for her to ditch the kids with you tells me she wants to be alone to see where her other relationship will go. I am so sorry, but this marriage is over. She is cheating and you need to speak to get legal advice. Preserve your assets. I am so sorry. Pensive face. Bro, she's cheating. This is what happens to people that knowingly marry a cheater. I married a snake and it bit me. Surprise. She was hiding evidence of emotional cheating at the very least. Possibly physical cheating. Now she's run off and I'll guarantee you she is cheating now. Expect to have her crawl back in a while, after she's sown all her oats, looking to reconcile and have you apologize for the whole thing. File for divorce and change the locks, if the lawyer okays it. Immediately. Also, dude, paragraphs. They're not that hard. She's probably been cheating with different people the entire relationship, this is obvious. Get a lawyer, get a DNA test for the kids and get STD tested. You can try and fool yourself all you want, but you know if to be true. I bet either she's not at the hotel or someone else is there. There's a reason she didn't want to give you her phone.